Hey, this is a pleasure to have you here again. Yeah, discussed a lot of things today about self sabotage, why we do it, what's the reason. So it's important to know why we self sabotage, what's the cause of it, what's the reason, and how to stop it. Right. So it's very important to have that in mind. So we're gonna have around 30 to 45 minutes together. We're gonna discover that and understand why we do self-sabotage. Why, even though we know what we have to do, but when it comes for us to apply it, when it comes for us to use the knowledge we have to do, to act, to behave, we feel like it's hard, it's a burden. So we are going to discuss that today. We're going to see why we do self-sabotage and understand the psychology behind it and see how do we stop that, right? How do we stop that so we can behave differently, so we can act differently? Because here's what happened. That happened a lot on the manifestation industry. A lot of people think that because they are thinking about something, right? Because they have positive thoughts about something, that is the only thing that they need in order for them to have physical result. And I always say that in most of my videos on YouTube, I always say that in order for you to have a physical result, you need to take a physical action, right? So that is the first thing that is required. If you want to have a physical result, you must take a physical action. And not only that, you must take a physical action for the required time that is necessary, right? So that is the consistency that is required. So this is what we are going to see today. We are going to understand all that, and we can see how can we change the results, right? The reality, the situation that we are in. And that's very important because uh, we as human beings, we have this tendency to evolve. We have this tendency to improve, right? To make things better, to have better life, better habits, so we can improve our life. So let us start here. We're gonna see why we self sabotage and how can we stop it. A lot of situation that we have in our life, right? So the current situation, the current reality that we have in our life, the current result that we have in our life, right? Be it the result we have in our finances, in our health, in our business, in our relationship, every single result that we have in our life right now, they are the exact replica of our internal architecture, right? So this is who we are that is being reflected to us. Now, in order for you to change this situation, in order for you to change this reality, right? The situation, the result you have right now, there must be a change. There must be a change in order for you to go from point A, which is the current situation that you find yourself into, to point B, which is the desired situation, right? The desired reality that you're looking for. So, in order for us to go from point A to point B, we need a change, we need a transformation. Now, what happened when it comes for people to look, right, to start to work on this transformation, to start to work on this change? What happened is they are making a very huge mistake because they have this belief that change only happen in one level, right? So they have this tendency that change only happen in one level, and that is a very huge mistake. So today I'm going to share with you the four levels of change, and you understand from there why do we self-sabotage. You understand from there the reason, right, why we do what we do about self-sabotage, right? So in order for us to go from point A to point B, like we said, you need a change, you need a transformation. But a huge mistake that people make is they try to change only their behavior. Now, don't get me wrong, because changing your behavior, I'm referring to your habit. What is habit? A habit is the common behavior that you have, and you do it every single day. Now, an action that you do every single day will produce most of your result that you're gonna get. Because you do this action most of the time unconsciously. You just do it. I would take them for granted. So most of these actions they produce a physical result. Now, don't get me wrong on that because you need, like we said earlier, a physical action to change the physical situation you're in. What do I mean by that? You must change your habits. You must change your common behavior, right? The behavior that you take on a daily basis, right? Things that you do over and over and over. And most of them you don't even think about it. You just do them, right? And you take them for granted. And you think these are normal. Now, when it comes for change, a lot of people don't even think about these behaviors because they consider them as normal, as like things should be. And these are the behavior, these are the action that are producing the physical result that you have in your life. Now, in order for you to get from point A to point B, like we've said earlier, there is a need to change your behavior. Right? There is a need to change your habit, your common behavior, common action, thing that you do on a daily basis. Now, before I even share with you why this is a mistake for most people that only stop on this level, most people can't even know what are their common behavior. If you ask someone, what is your common behavior? What are your habits related to finances? What are your habits related to health? What are your habits, even good or bad, related to your business? What are your common behaviors? they're not even able to share that with you. And the reason for that is because they are not aware. And that's the reason the first step on our framework where we teach people to stop any self-sabotaging behavior and create a change is awareness, right? So in order for you to change this behavior, in order for you to change this action, first thing you need to know is the awareness of this action, the awareness of this behavior. You must know what is a common behavior that I have regarding health, regarding relationship, regarding my business. And once you know that, this is when you can start to work on this habit, to work on this behavior, on this action, right? So changing your habit, changing your common behavior is the first step to go from point A, which is your current situation, your current reality, right? Current result, to the desired reality, right? Desired situation, desired result that you're looking at, right? But the problem, like we said earlier, is because most people only work on this behavioral plane. Now, that's nothing wrong with that because that's going to help you to create the physical result, but you must also work on the other planes, right? Now, you might ask yourself, Jerry, what are the other three planes? Like I said earlier on this event, we have four levels when it comes to change. And you must work on all four levels in order for you to create a transformation, in order for you to create a change, a persistent and permanent change in your life, in your result, in your situation. So the first one is the behavioral change. You must change your current habit. You must change your current behaviors, your common behaviors. But like we said, in order for you to change them, you must know what are them. What are the action you take regarding to finances, the common. So first step is awareness. I'm going to share the other step of the framework with you later on, but let us see the second level of change. Now, in order for you to take an action, right, whenever that we are going to act, we're going to do something in our life. It could be related to your finances, your health, every area. Whenever that you're going to take an action, right, if you're gonna behave a certain way, the main driver behind that, behind any action or inaction, is how you feel, right? Your emotion. How do I feel? Now, the feeling, the emotion you have will dictate the type of action you'll take or inaction. So if you are going to change your behavior, right, your common behavior habits, you must change how you feel towards certain things. You must change the emotion you have towards certain area, towards certain idea. So that is the subtle level that a lot of people, if they could work only on that, that would change drastically the way they change their behaviors. Because most people, when they are going to change their behaviors, right, they're gonna change their habits, their common behaviors, they're gonna feel like it's like a burden. They're gonna feel hard. And that's the reason they're gonna feel that they need discipline all the time. And don't get me wrong, discipline is very important when you're starting a change, when you're starting a transformation. But the problem is you can't use discipline for the required time that is necessary to have the physical result that you're looking for. You're gonna be drained out, right? You're gonna feel like it's a burden. You're gonna feel like it's a work. It's like something you have to do. It's gonna be like a burden. You can't even do that for 3 months. Right? You can't be consistent with doing what you have to do, the behavior that you're trying to change for 3 months. Right? And in order for you to have a physical result, you're gonna need this physical action or this group of physical action for the required time. Now, this required time might be a year, might be 6 months, 3 months, it might be 3 days. But you must be consistent on that. And in order for you to be consistent, discipline is necessary, but how you feel is the key. Because how you feel is what is going to be is going to keep you consistent at it, right? So that's the second level that a lot of people miss, which is how you feel towards the action that you're going to change, right? So I shared with you two levels. Now, the third level when it comes to change, so we have the behavioral change, we have the emotional change. So the third level is the mental change, right? The thoughts you're going to receive, the thoughts you're creating on your mind. And that is where the mindset work starts. You must change your mental state. You must change your mind. And there's something very interesting about that because a lot of people don't understand when a lot of people are talking about mindset. What is mindset? Remember, mind is an activity that is done on the brain, right? So mind is an activity that is done on the brain. Now, the mind is always working, but there's a frequency that you can set your mind to, right? So this frequency that you set your mind to is what people call mindset, right? So you might set your mind to poverty, you might set your mind to abundance, you might set your mind to health, to disease, to success, to fear. Now, there's a lot of ways there's a lot of things you can set your mind into. People like Tony Robbins, they relate to that as your focus, your attention, right? Your mindset. What do you see? And how do you interpret what do you see? Right? So this is the third level. So you have the behavioral, you must change your behavior, your habits, your common behavior. You must change how you feel towards these behaviors while changing them. And then you must change your mental state. You must change your mindset. People like Bob Proctor call that a paradigm, right? Your thoughts. Because the thoughts you have will produce how you feel, and how you feel will determine which type of action you're going to take or inaction at a certain moment. And the consistency of that will produce a physical result over time that you might not like, right? And why is that? That is because of the fourth level. What is the fourth level? Is the belief. Now, belief or ideas that we've got from ourselves or from other people. You might find it on a book, on the videos, right? On a conversation with someone else. And this idea, you've rehearsed it so many times on your mind that you assign an emotional connection to it and you accept it as truth. And as soon as you accept it as truth, is working on the background, your subconscious mind, and this belief will makes you focus on certain thoughts, certain aspect of reality. So that's the reason the belief about yourself and the belief about the world, these are the first pillar when it comes to change, right? So your self-image, your self-conception, belief you have about you, what you can do, what you can expect, belief about what you deserve, what you can do, what you can have, belief on how the world works, belief on how businesses work, belief on how health works. All these beliefs will produce certain thoughts that will produce certain emotion that will drive you to take a certain type of action, which over time consistently will create a physical result in your life. So these are the levels that you have to work on if you want to make a transformation from point A to point B, which is the current situation to the desired situation. You must change your habit, your common behaviors. You must change your emotion, right? How you feel towards the action. And you must change your mental state, what we call the mindset. And you must change the belief that you have on your subconscious mind. Now, in order for you to do this change, people get confused and get frustrated. And most of them give up on the way to the transformation. And that's the reason we've created a framework. It's called the Framework of Change Mastery. What is the Framework of Change Mastery? It's a framework that we use, right, to help people to stop any self-sabotaging behavior that they have and to create a desired change on their life. Now, this framework has 5 steps. The first step, like I said earlier, is awareness. In order for you to change any plane any plane, any level that I mentioned earlier, which is your habits, your emotion, your thoughts, your belief, the first thing is you must be aware of them. If you're not aware of your common behavior, if you're not aware of your common emotion towards a certain behavior, if you're not aware of your thoughts, if you're not aware of your belief that you have in your subconscious mind, there is no way for you to change them. Like I said in my framework, in order for you to change something, you must be aware of the thing and you must be aware that it can be changed. Not because you're aware that you're procrastinating, which is a behavior, if I'm starting from the bottom to up, not because I'm aware that I'm procrastinating means that I'm going to change it. The first thing you do is the awareness of the behavior, of the emotion, of the thought, of the belief. And the second thing you do is awareness that it can be changed, right? Awareness that procrastination can change. Awareness that how I'm feeling can change. Awareness that a thought that you have toward a certain idea can change. Awareness of a belief can change. And that's what we teach people on the first step of our formula, right? And that is how I coach a lot of people that want to make a transformation in their life, right? To stop a self-sabotaging behavior. First step is awareness. What is the second step? As soon as you're aware, right, of the behavior, of the motion, of the thought, of the belief, you are aware that it can be changed, right? Because we have done the research for you and we have proof that any behavior, feeling or emotion, thoughts or belief can be changed. And we teach that in the framework. Now, the second step is not staying and then looking at the behavior or at the emotion and doing nothing, right? Or wish it could be changed. The second step is the decision. Now, when it comes to decision, I teach that in the framework. A lot of people confuse what is a decision. I learned that from a guy named Myron Golden. He said, decision means to cut yourself from any other possibilities. Right? So when you take a decision to change a certain behavior, when you take a decision to change a certain way of feeling, when you take the decision to change a belief, you must cut yourself from any other possibilities who is not changing this behavior, belief, or thoughts. Right? So a lot of people get confused when it comes to decision. That's why on the framework I share with people a method, and it's called a 3D decision. Now, as soon as you take a 3D decision, you have a decision that you can stick with. Now, a lot of people might say, what is a 3D decision? I've shared a lot about it on the framework, but it's just an emotional, mental, and behavioral decision. How to take a decision with your behavior, how to take a decision with your mind, and how to take a decision with your emotion. If you take a decision with all three of them, your decision will stick forever. And I teach more of it on the framework that you can check out. I'm going to put the link on the description. Now, as soon as you have the decision, the third thing is the release. Now, once you take a decision to change a behavior, belief, a thought, or way of feeling, the third thing you do is a release. You have to release. Release what? The the behavior that you had on the step one. You had to release the emotional, right? The emotion you had, the emotion of content you had. You had to release the thoughts that you've produced on step one and the belief that you had on your subconscious mind. Now that is a process that we teach on the framework as well on how to release all of it, right? How to release your current behavior, right? Your current habit, how to let go of it, how to release your emotional content, right? People don't understand that when I share that with them. Let me share with you the power of this formula. When I say releasing the way that you feel, so let's say someone had a behavior of smoking all the time, right? So when they are in the framework and they are in the coaching program with me, on the step three, what I teach them to do is how to let go of the behavior of smoking. I'm referring to the physical behavior. So I'm going to help them to make some physical changes to stop the physical action of smoking. But not only that, they must release how they feel towards smoking, right? And they must also change how they think towards smoking. You see what I mean? So this is what we teach people on the third step on our framework. As soon as they do that, we go to the step four. What is the step four? Is reprogramming. As soon as they release their previous action, the previous emotion towards that action, the previous thoughts, and the previous belief, we help them to reprogram them, to create new ones that will be there until they have the physical result that they're looking at. Right? So we help them to reprogram their action, to create new habits. Right? And this is something that a guy named James Clear talk about a lot. How to create a habit. By the way, I recommend you read this book, which is very good. Right? How to create new habits. So we help people do that on the step four whenever we're coaching them. So that is on the physical level. On the emotional level, we help them, we teach them how to feel towards that habit they are creating. Because if you're creating a habit to eat salad every morning and you feel bad about it, feel like a sacrifice, a burden, it doesn't make sense for you. You're not gonna do it for 3 months. So we teach people how to do that. And then on the third level, we teach them the thoughts that must be produced towards that action and the belief that will sustain the thought, the emotion, and the action until they have the desired physical result that they're looking at. Right? So that's the fourth step. The last step on the framework is it's a very important step, right? Because this is what is going to keep all the work that you've done, right? The fourth step, this is what is going to keep it until you have the physical result that you're looking for. And a lot of people don't do this step, and they think because they do something for a day or two, they're gonna get them the result that they're looking for. Some physical result that you're looking for in life will require a lot of time. There's a delay between who you are and the reflection on your desired reality. And this delay, there's a guy called Joe Dispenza. He talks about it a lot, right? So on the last step, we talk about the integration. What is the integration? Integration, if I was to summarize it for you, is the fact of doing all this work that you've done with us, all this work that you've done, all this transformation to keep it as your new way of being, to make of this change your new normal life, right? I remember I was coaching a lady the other day, and I asked her. She was having problem with consistency, right? Not being able to be consistent on his action, and I remember I asked her, "Do you have certain action in your life where you are consistent and you take it for granted?" So that's what we teach you on the last step of this framework. So this work that you've done, these new habits that you created, the new emotional connection you assigned to them, the thoughts that you've produced, the belief you have about this behavior, we help you, teach you how to maintain this work that you've done, how to maintain this transformation until you have the physical result that you're looking for. Right? So that is what we teach you on the last step of this framework. Now, there is a way for you to get this, all of this that I've been saying, all four levels of change and the framework of change mastery as well. Now, in order for you to get all four levels of change, there's a free guide I'm going to let here on the description of this live for those of you that are going to watch it after being live. You're gonna find there the link to a free guide that has the four levels of change, right? So you can understand it better deeply. And also, I'm going to put a link here. So for those of you who want to get into a framework or use the framework to create a desired change on their life to stop their self-sabotaging behavior, I'm going to put a link as well on the description below. And for those of you who want to work right now and who want assistance and guidance to use this framework to stop a certain self-sabotaging behavior and create a desired change on your life, I'm going to put a link as well for those of you who want to go on a one-on-one coaching with me, and we can start to work from there. But the main reason we had this event is to show you the reason why we self-sabotage. Right? So you've learned the four levels of change. Now you might ask yourself, why do I self-sabotage? Self-sabotage happens whenever that there's a disconnect between your internal world, right, who you are, and your expectancy. So if you're trying to create a new habit without doing the work, you force yourself. And there's an example. I always I always like to give people, and I share it on my book. You can find my book also on the website. It's called The Change Code. There is an example I share on my book, and here it is. I said, if you were a programmer, right, programmer, and you were to program, right, to create a robot. Now, if you program this robot to go forward, right, this is what the robot gonna do, and they're gonna do it so efficiently as you program it to do. Now, let's say that at a certain point of time, you decide for the robot to go backward. Now, no matter what you do, no matter how much yelling or beating of the machine of the robot, there is no way for it to go backward. There is only one way to make this robot, this machine, to go forward and backward, is to reprogram. So that is how we feel whenever that we're trying to create a physical action, right? A habit to create a desired reality. If we do it from willpower and discipline alone, we will need so much cognitive energy that we will not be able to do it for the required time. Instead of this habit being part of who you are, you'll be expecting a lot from this habit. Right? But if you learn to use this method, if you learn to use this framework, you could have made of this habit a new way of living. You could have made this habit a part of you. It could have changed you, who you are. And that is guaranteed to have the desired result that you're looking for. And the reason is simple. It's because you always reflect who you are, consciously or unconsciously. You always reflect who you are. So what you must work on is to change the programming. Because creating a habit, creating a behavior from willpower, motivation, discipline alone will not get you that far. So you must change the way you feel, the thoughts you produce, the belief that you have towards a certain habit. And that is how you will eventually, I said eventually, you'll get the physical result that you're looking for. And you'll get this physical result in ways that you were not expecting. Because these habits that you've created are part of you right now. The same way that you have right now, certain habit, current habit that are providing you the result that you have in your life right now. Now, the problem is you might not like them, right? Because you created them unconsciously. But this is the same process. Right? I am always sharing with Mark this little anecdote. The same formula, if there is one, the same principle that helps a people to be poor is the same principle that helps a people to be rich, right? So the same system, the same subconscious mind, habits, emotional content you have, the thoughts they produce, that gets you the current result you have in your life right now. So the same system that is producing this result is the same system that will produce another result if you feed it differently. There's no magic to it. It's just simple. That's how it works. Now feeding it, reprogramming it takes some time. It takes work. It takes willpower. You must decide to do so, right? And I know a lot of you have decided to change your result, to change the situation that you're in, to have a better result. Now I'm telling you, the reason most of you self-sabotage, you said, okay, I'm not gonna drink coffee for 6 months, right? So that's your goal, that's your desired situation. You say that. Your conscious mind understands it because it understands the consequences of you drinking coffee, right, versus you not drinking coffee. Now, believe me, the conscious mind understands it perfectly. Now, the part of your mind that don't understand it quite is your unconscious mind. Now, like I said earlier, the mind is an activity that we have on the brain. When we are aware of this activity that is going on in the brain, we call it the conscious mind, right? So let's say that we are thinking about something. Let's say that we are focusing on something, right? We are directing our attention towards something. Now, when we are aware of this activity going on in our mind, we call it the conscious mind. But when we are not aware of this activity going on in our mind, we call it the unconscious mind. Now, there is different deep to it, right? So, guy like Carl Jung, right? So Freud, they define that there are different layers of the unconscious. Now, I'm not gonna get into that, but what I want you to understand is when you set yourself to achieve a goal, let's say, like I said earlier, you said, I'm not gonna drink coffee for 6 months. Your conscious mind understands it perfectly. The part of your mind that don't understand it quite is your unconscious mind. And here's the thing: your unconscious mind is what is going to direct 95% of your behaviors. And the physical behavior, physical action you're going to take, they are going to produce the physical result. So that's so important. It's important for you to reprogram yourself. It's important for you to reprogram who you are, to be different. Now, what is the importance of being different? Being different will help you to take different action naturally. If you can't take action naturally, like it's normal, you will be focused so much on the action. You will be focused so much on perfectionism on the action itself, and you'll be focused on the outcome that you're going to try to control the machine. And like I said earlier, the same machine that create your current life right now, current result that you have, is the same machine that will create a different one. You just have to feed it differently. You don't have to worry about the machine. You're gonna do its work, right? In order for you to understand what I'm saying better, look at your life right now. So do this work. Look at your life right now and see behaviors, right? Emotional content, the thoughts, common thoughts you have, belief that you have right now in your subconscious mind. Look at them. You don't have to force yourself to have the physical result that you have. They're done automatically. Now it's the same. If you feel it differently, you're gonna have different result automatically. There's no way for you to force yourself. So that is what we help people to do in our framework. We help them to change who they are so they can take different action for the required time without forcing themselves. And that will eventually, like I said earlier, it will eventually create different results in your life. Right? So That is the thing that most people don't know. That's the reason they are self sabotaging. They are forcing themselves. They're working very hard. They have a lot of knowledge. And I was watching the other day before I end this live here. In about a couple of minutes. I was watching the other day that goalkeeper. For those of you who watch football or call soccer in the state, I almost dropped the mic right there. I was watching a video and the guy was saying that a lot of goalkeepers, the worst problem that they have is perfectionism. And they are always trying to learn new techniques, right? So to do things perfectly. Now, the irony with that is all these techniques they are learning, all these tricks they are learning, right? When they are training, when it's time for them on the field to play, the brain has some millisecond to take an action, right? To take a decision. And let me ask you this: which part of the brain do you think is going to take a decision when it comes for this millisecond, right? It's going to be unconscious. Now, even though you know a lot of techniques, a lot of tricks, a lot of knowledge you have on a certain thing, when you are going to act on the field, the action will derive what is going to drive this action will be the content you have on your subconscious mind. So that's the reason watching this live right now, watching any other videos or reading books will not change your life unless you use this knowledge and you put it on your subconscious mind. So that's the reason the work must be done. So you can stop any self-sabotage that you behavior that you have and change your life, create different results, different situation. So that's how it works. And a lot of people have been using it and it works for them. Because once you're no longer attached so much to the outcome, this is when you're gonna get it. Because you're not expecting it. This is who you are, right? I have a guy right there. This is my friend. He's right there. He's laughing at me all the time. This guy is not expecting to be fit, right? Because this is who he is. Now the problem is, I have my wife right there too. She was telling me that I speak so loud. I don't know why. Do you guys let me know in the comment for those of you that are gonna watch this video later if I speak so loud, right? So she's telling me this right now. So I was saying that who you are, right? Who you are is what will determine the result that you're gonna get. And you're gonna do it automatically, naturally. You're gonna have to force it. You don't force it. You don't force it. It's just how it is. You just feed, be different. And there's something very important that once you are different, so once you have a different image, different concept, different belief about you and about the world, you're gonna find purpose on the action that you're gonna take. You're gonna find purpose on the habits. You're gonna find love on the habits, the behaviors, and you're gonna love them, and they're gonna be natural. And that's the moment they will create the desired change that you're looking for. So again, the links is on the description below, all of them, all three of them. You're gonna find the link for the free guide, where you're gonna find the 4 levels of change. You're gonna find um, the link for the framework, and for those of you who want to work one-on-one with me, the link is also going to be on the description below. That was all for today. Then I'll see you on the next live event. Thank you.